The story begins in the middle of the ocean aboard a cargo ship, where we meet director Carl, who is traveling with his team toward a mysterious island. Suddenly, a thick layer of fog surrounds the ship, making it impossible to see the way ahead. But as the fog slowly begins to clear, an island appears before their eyes, leaving everyone completely speechless. This was Skull Island, a mysterious place from which no one had ever returned alive. The ship is anchored near the shore, and director Carl, Ann, Jack, and a few others head toward the island in a small boat. As soon as they step onto the beach, they spot a giant stone wall that looks thousands of years old. But the most terrifying sight of all was the massive pile of human skulls lying beneath the wall, making it painfully obvious that something deadly had once lived there. The group carefully moves forward and eventually reaches the tribal village hidden behind the wall. Suddenly, a young tribal boy runs toward them and repeatedly warns them through hand gestures to leave the island immediately. But director Carl doesn't understand what he's trying to say and instead offers him a piece of chocolate. The very next moment, the boy suddenly bites his hand. At that exact moment, the tribal people hiding all around them suddenly emerge. Director Carl is just about to speak with them when a spear suddenly pierces straight through the chest of one of his team members. Instantly, the entire village erupts into chaos. The tribe attacks everyone. Jack is struck hard on the head and is knocked unconscious. Several people are killed on the spot, while Ann is captured alive and tied up for their sacrificial ritual. Just when it seems like no one can save Ann anymore, the captain suddenly arrives with the rescue team. Without wasting a second, he opens fire, forcing the tribal people to retreat in panic. But none of them had any idea that the real danger was still waiting for them on the other side of the wall. As the tribal people tie Ann in front of the ancient wall for the sacrificial ritual, the entire jungle suddenly begins to shake violently. The very next moment, a terrifying roar echoes through the darkness of the dense forest, sending chills down everyone's spine. Just seconds later, a massive shadow emerges from between the trees, and for the very first time, the world's most dangerous and gigantic gorilla, King Kong, appears before everyone. Seeing his enormous size, even the tribal people lower their heads in fear. Kong slowly walks toward Ann, gently lifts her into the palm of his hand, and lets out a thunderous roar before heading straight into the dense jungle. The rescue team watching this is left completely stunned. Director Carl and everyone else see King Kong with their own eyes for the very first time. Looking at a creature this massive, no one can believe that something like this could actually exist. Within moments, Kong disappears into the darkness of the jungle with Ann in his hand. As soon as everyone realizes that Ann has been taken by a giant creature, Jack doesn't waste a single second. He immediately heads deep into the jungle to find her, but he has no idea that before he can reach Ann, he is about to come face to face with the terrifying secrets of Skull Island, where death is waiting for him around every corner. Kong carries Ann even deeper into the jungle. As soon as she regains consciousness, she realizes that if she doesn't escape now, she won't survive. Quietly, she removes the skull necklace from around her neck and drives it into Kong's finger with all her strength. Suddenly, Kong lets out a deafening roar in pain, and his grip loosens. Taking advantage of that one opportunity, Ann runs into the jungle without looking back. But her freedom lasts only a few moments. The very next second, Kong's massive hand comes down from above, and he grabs Ann once again. Kong lets out a powerful roar and carries her back into the depths of the jungle. Meanwhile, Jack finds Ann's skull necklace lying on the ground. The moment he sees it, he realizes that Ann is in serious danger. Without wasting any time, he and his team immediately head in the same direction. A short while later, they discover a set of enormous fresh footprints on the ground. Seeing footprints that huge, everyone realizes they don't belong to an ordinary animal, they belong to King Kong. At the same time, director Carl takes his camera and heads off to record the surrounding area, but the next sight leaves him completely stunned. Right in front of him, dozens of giant dinosaurs are roaming freely, even after witnessing such an unbelievable discovery. Instead of running away, he turns on his camera because to him, this was the greatest footage the world had ever seen. Suddenly, the entire jungle begins to shake violently. A massive herd of giant brontosaurus is charging straight toward them, desperately trying to escape because a pack of deadly velociraptors is chasing them. Within seconds, the entire valley is thrown into chaos. Several people are crushed beneath the dinosaurs' enormous feet, while everyone else scatters in every direction, trying to stay alive. Just when it seems like they might have survived the attack, the remaining velociraptors suddenly begin chasing Jack and his team. Now they have only one choice: either run or become the next victims of the velociraptors. Everyone rushes to climb the steep cliffs as fast as they can to save their lives, but the team's elderly cameraman isn't able to climb fast enough. Seeing him trapped, director Carl runs back without a second thought and uses his tripod to try pulling him to safety, but by then, it's already too late. A velociraptor reaches him in an instant, clamps its deadly jaws around his leg, and drags him into the darkness of the jungle. Everyone is forced to watch his horrifying death with their own eyes, but there is nothing they can do to save him. After this terrifying attack, the team's morale is completely shattered. shattered. Several people refuse to go any farther and decide to turn back, but Jack and a few brave members continue their journey to rescue Ann. After a while, they arrive at the edge of a massive swamp. The group boards a large wooden raft and begins crossing the swamp. Suddenly, a gigantic swamp monster bursts out from beneath the deep water at lightning speed and smashes the middle of the raft apart with a single attack. The very next moment, everyone is thrown into the water. Panic spreads everywhere as they desperately swim to save their lives. Jack also begins sinking beneath the surface because of the heavy box strapped to him. When he turns around, he sees the giant swamp monster swimming straight toward him. Jack immediately signals his teammate not to come any closer, but the man doesn't understand. The very next second, the monster swallows him whole in a single bite. Jack somehow hides between the thick roots of the trees and manages to escape the giant creature. After freeing himself from the heavy box, he finally makes it back to the surface. But just then, the monster bursts out of the water again and clamps another man in its massive jaws. Director Carl opens fire with a machine gun, and after taking several hits, the monster is wounded and disappears back into the deep water. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Jack and the remaining survivors somehow manage to swim safely to the shore. But this was only the beginning of their terrifying journey. Meanwhile, Kong carries Ann into his massive cave. He repeatedly tries to wake her by gently shaking her, but even though she's fully conscious, Ann keeps pretending to be unconscious. After waiting for quite a while, Kong leaves her there and calmly begins eating bamboo. The moment his attention shifts elsewhere, Ann slowly crawls out of the cave and quietly runs into the jungle without making a sound. But once again, luck isn't on her side. At the same time, Jack and his team arrive at Kong's cave. The moment Kong spots them, he lets out a furious roar and charges straight at them. He grabs the officer standing in front with a single swipe and crushes him in his massive fist, while everyone else climbs onto the giant root of a huge tree to save themselves and immediately opens fire on Kong from above. But the bullets fail to stop Kong. Enraged, he uses all of his strength to shake the giant tree root. The very next moment, the root snaps loose and begins falling into a canyon thousands of feet below, taking everyone standing on it down with it. Fortunately, the massive root crashes against the cliffs on both sides as it falls, slowing it down enough for a few of them to survive. Meanwhile, Ann has already wandered into an even more dangerous part of the jungle. Suddenly, she spots a giant lizard calmly feeding on its prey. The moment she sees it, Ann quietly begins backing away without making a sound. Just when she thinks she has managed to escape, another terrifying giant creature suddenly appears right in front of her. Terrified, Ann immediately runs for her life. But outside, an even greater danger is already waiting for her. Now, every single step on Skull Island has become another deadly trap. After escaping the cave alive, Ann is left completely terrified when she comes face to face with the most dangerous predator in the jungle, a massive T-Rex. Frozen with fear, she sprints at full speed between the giant tree roots. After running for a while, she climbs onto a dead tree and hides among its branches. Fortunately, the T-Rex doesn't spot her and eventually walks away. But that moment of relief lasts only a few seconds. Suddenly, the tree begins shaking violently, causing Ann to lose her balance. The moment she looks down, she's horrified. The tree she had been hiding in was standing directly above another gigantic T-Rex that had been sleeping below. As soon as it opens its eyes, it immediately attacks Ann. She desperately tries to escape, but the branch she's hanging from suddenly snaps, leaving her dangling helplessly in midair. Just when it seems like there's no way she can survive, a thunderous roar echoes across the entire jungle. The very next moment, King Kong charges in at lightning speed and launches himself straight at the T-Rex, but the danger is far from over. Only seconds later, two more bloodthirsty T-Rexes appear from behind, and now Kong is forced to fight three giant dinosaurs at the same time. The three T-Rexes surround Kong from every direction. One attacks his shoulder, while another sinks its teeth deep into his arm. Even then, Kong refuses to back down. He throws powerful punches and slams them into trees and massive rocks. As the brutal fight continues, they all end up hanging over a deep canyon, where even the smallest mistake could mean certain death. But Kong uses both his incredible strength and his intelligence to turn the battle around. First, he sends one T-Rex crashing into the abyss below. Then he delivers a devastating blow that finishes off the second one for good. Finally, the third and most dangerous T-Rex is just about to reach Ann when Kong rushes in at lightning speed and blocks its path. He grabs the dinosaur's jaws with both hands and pulls with all his might, tearing its mouth completely apart in a single, brutal move. With that, Kong defeats all three T-Rexes and saves Ann's life once again, proving that the true king of Skull Island is none other than King Kong. After defeating all three T-Rexes, Kong gently places Ann on his shoulder and carries her back toward his cave. Even after such a brutal battle, he hadn't allowed a single scratch to come near her. Little by little, Ann begins to realize that Kong isn't her enemy. Instead, he has become the one who keeps saving her life. For the very first time, she sees the lonely and innocent heart hidden inside the giant beast, and her fear slowly begins to disappear. A short while later, Kong carries Ann to the highest peak on the island. The two of them quietly sit together, watching the beautiful sunset. For the first time, the jungle is completely peaceful. Before long, night falls. Exhausted, Ann slowly falls asleep in Kong's arms, while Kong quietly stays by her side. This is the moment when an extraordinary bond is formed between a human and a giant beast. But their peaceful moment doesn't last for long. Meanwhile, after risking his life and making his way through the dangerous jungle, Jack finally reaches Kong's hideout. Now, he wants only one thing: to bring Ann back, no matter the cost. Jack finally reaches Kong's hideout, and the moment he gets the chance, he forcefully begins taking Ann away with him. Just then, Kong wakes up and realizes that someone is trying to take Ann away from him. The very next moment, his rage explodes, and he launches a full-force attack on Jack. As the noise echoes through the area, a massive swarm of giant bats suddenly attacks Kong. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jack and Ann grab onto the vines hanging from a tall cliff and begin climbing down. But at that very moment, Kong reaches the edge of the cliff and starts pulling the vines back up. It seems like there's no possible way for either of them to survive. Just then, Jack notices a giant bat flying nearby. He quickly grabs onto its legs, and Ann tightly holds onto Jack. The giant bat carries both of them far away from Kong. As soon as they get the chance, Jack and Ann jump into the river flowing below and somehow manage to save themselves. After climbing out of the river, they reunite with the rest of their team. That's when they discover that Director Carl and his men have already prepared a massive trap along with powerful sedatives to capture Kong. Meanwhile, Kong also arrives with all his strength, determined to get Ann back. Just as Kong is about to attack them, a massive rope net is suddenly dropped over him. Kong struggles with all his might to break free, but in the meantime, the men begin throwing bottle after bottle filled with powerful sedatives at him. By this point, Kong is already badly wounded, and now his arms and legs are tightly bound with heavy ropes. Even then, he uses all of his strength to snap the ropes one by one and charges straight at the people with a thunderous roar. The moment everyone sees him break free, panic spreads everywhere. People begin running toward the shore to save their lives, but Kong has only one goal: to get Ann back. At that moment, Director Carl remembers his final plan. He quietly throws the very last bottle filled with sedatives at Kong. The bottle hits Kong directly in the face, and within moments the drug begins to take effect. Kong's vision starts to blur, and he struggles to stay on his feet. Even then, he refuses to give up. Before losing consciousness, he reaches out toward Ann one last time, as if he just wants to touch her one final time. But this time, his body can no longer keep going. Moments later, the world's most powerful giant gorilla collapses to the ground and loses consciousness. After that, believing it to be the greatest achievement of his life, Director Carl has Kong chained up and transported to New York. His goal is now clear: to display King Kong before the entire world as a spectacle and earn fame and fortune from him. A few days later, preparations begin for a grand stage show. The theater is packed with people, and everyone is eagerly waiting to see the legendary giant with their own eyes. But no one has any idea that within moments, this show is about to turn into the most terrifying disaster in New York's history. As the show begins, King Kong is brought onto the stage in heavy iron chains and presented before thousands of spectators. To make the performance even more dramatic, they recreate the same sacrificial ritual from Skull Island and dress a young woman to look just like Ann before placing her in front of Kong. At first, Kong is happy to see her. He believes that Ann has finally returned to him, but the moment he looks closely at her face, he immediately realizes that he has been deceived. The instant that realization hits him, Kong's rage explodes. He lets out a thunderous roar that shakes the entire theater, and the very next moment, he snaps his massive chains apart. Within seconds, the entire theater is thrown into chaos. People scream and rush toward the exits, trying to save their lives. Kong smashes through the stage and charges outside. At that moment, he spots Jack and immediately runs after him in a burst of anger. Jack barely manages to escape, but Kong's real goal isn't revenge. He only wants to find Ann. Soon, chaos spreads across all of New York. Kong searches everywhere for Ann. Every time he sees a blonde woman, he gently picks her up and looks at her carefully, but each time, disappointed, he puts her back down. Eventually, he finally finds the real Ann. He gently lifts her into his hand, and the moment he sees her, all of his anger disappears instantly. Without wasting another second, Kong leaves with Ann. Along the way, Kong notices the snow and immediately carries Ann there. The two of them spend some time playing in the snow like little children, and for the first time in years, genuine happiness can be seen on Kong's face. But their happiness doesn't last for long. Suddenly, a massive explosion echoes through the city. Within moments, the US Army surrounds surrounds the area from every direction and unleashes a relentless barrage of gunfire at Kong. Without thinking about his own safety, Kong immediately picks up Ann and carries her through the city while protecting her. In the end, he climbs to the top of the tallest building in New York, the Empire State Building, because he believes it's the safest place for Ann. But he has no idea that the final and most difficult battle of his life is about to begin. Reaching the very top of the Empire State Building, Kong first places Ann in a safe spot. He knows that the danger is no longer just for him. Ann's life is at risk too. The very next moment, several fighter planes begin circling the building from every direction. Now the world's most powerful gorilla is standing face to face with humanity's deadliest machines. Without showing a trace of fear, Kong climbs to the highest point of the tower and prepares to face the fighter planes. The moment they open fire, bullets begin tearing through his body one after another. Even then, he refuses to give up. He leaps across the top of the building, dodges the gunfire, and when the opportunity comes, he grabs one fighter plane in midair and smashes it into another. For a brief moment, it almost seems like Kong might actually win this battle, but there are simply too many enemies. Bullets rain down from every direction, leaving his body covered in devastating wounds. Watching this, Ann can no longer hold herself back. Without caring about her own safety, she runs to Kong's side. She desperately screams at the pilots, begging them to stop firing. For a few moments, the fighter planes pull back, and it seems like everything might finally be okay. Kong slowly drops to one knee and looks at Ann one last time. There is no anger in his eyes, no fear, only love. And Ann stands safely beside him, but at that very moment, the fighter planes suddenly return and unleash another relentless wave of gunfire without giving him any chance to escape. One bullet after another tears into Kong's back and chest. Now Kong has no strength left to keep fighting. He looks at Ann one final time, silently saying goodbye. Then his grip slowly weakens, and the world's most powerful giant gorilla falls from the top of the Empire State Building to the streets below. A short time later, a huge crowd gathers around Kong's lifeless body. Tears won't stop flowing from Ann's eyes, because she finally realizes that Kong was never humanity's enemy. He was only a lonely and innocent creature who spent his very last breath protecting the girl who had become his entire world. And with that heartbreaking and emotional ending, the unforgettable story of King Kong comes to an end forever. So guys, that was the incredible recap of this movie, and chances are you won't find this level of quality anywhere else. If you've stayed with us until this point, one thing is certain: you truly enjoy movie recaps. Every week, we break down blockbuster movies in the highest quality and explain them in the easiest way possible. If you don't want to miss the next amazing movie recap, make sure to subscribe to the channel and become part of our community. And yes, only people who genuinely love watching blockbuster movie recaps hit that subscribe button. I'll see you very soon with another mind-blowing movie recap.